There was a man in that town who had done everything right. He had come from nothing, and now he had a shop on the main street, a storehouse behind it, and a house with more rooms than he used. People pointed him out to their sons. "Work like that," they said, "and look what you get." He was not old yet. He had never married. He had never seen the point. He had the shop and the storehouse and the house, and that had always seemed like enough. He did not lend money. Not to neighbors, not to old friends, not to the woman 2 doors down whose husband had died in the spring. He was not cruel about it. He simply said no, and went back to what he was doing, and did not think about it again. He paid his workers exactly what he had promised, and not 1 coin more. He did not learn their children's names. He was polite to everyone in town and close to no one, and if you had asked him, he would have said that was the correct way to live. At night he counted. The coins went into stacks on the dark wood, and he moved them with 2 fingers, and the sound they made was the only sound in the house. He liked that sound better than most voices. Money did not disappoint you. Money did not ask you for anything. As long as the stacks got taller, he did not need a single person in that town, and he was quietly, deeply proud of it. It was a cold night in the 12th month when he found the old man. He was sitting at the back of the shop, past the shelves where nobody sat. His robe was worn through at both elbows. His feet were bare and filthy. He was warming his hands over nothing at all, just holding them out in the empty air the way you do over a fire. There was no fire. The doors had been barred since sundown. "Get out," the merchant said. The old man did not get up. He did not look frightened or apologetic or caught. "It's nice here," he said, "out of the wind." The merchant told him to get out again, louder. The old man nodded slowly, as though agreeing with something else entirely, and stayed exactly where he was. In the morning he was gone, and the merchant put it out of his mind. That evening he was back. The next night back again in the same spot, hands out over nothing. The merchant stopped asking who he was. There was an old word for a thing like that. A god of poverty. You did not go looking for one. You did not invite one. He came into your house and he sat down, and that was the whole of it. The first thing to go was a shipment. Just weather, everyone said. Then a buyer who had bought from him for 11 years went somewhere else and would not say why. Then a debt he had counted on and had built the season around came back unpaid. None of it was strange on its own. That was the thing about it. Every single piece of it could have happened to anyone. He worked harder. He was good at working harder. He rose before it was light, and he went over the books twice and then 3 times looking for the mistake. There was no mistake. The numbers were simply smaller each time he looked, the way a tide goes out while you are watching it and you cannot say at what moment it started. In the corner, the old man sat with his hands out over nothing, and said nothing, and did not look pleased. The workers went one by one, not angrily. They came in and stood a moment and said they had found something else, and he paid them what he owed to the coin and let them go. The storehouse emptied from the back forward. He noticed one evening that he could hear his own footsteps in it. He had never been able to hear his footsteps in there before. Then the house. He signed it away on a gray afternoon in front of two men from the city, and he did it with a straight back, and he did not let his face move at all until they had gone. He walked out through rooms he had never used, and he was surprised to find that he could not remember what he had been saving them for. The new house was 4 rooms. He carried what was left himself in 3 trips because there was no one to carry it for him. He set down the last box and stood in the doorway getting his breath back. In the corner of the room, near where the brazier would go, the old man was already sitting, bare feet crossed, hands out over nothing. He had not been there for any of the 3 trips. So the merchant tried. He threw salt across the threshold, a whole box of it, and swept it out again in the morning with the old man watching him do it. He paid a priest who came and read for an hour and took the money and did not once look at the corner where the old man was sitting. He tried leaving before dawn without telling anyone, with everything he owned on his back, and he walked until the sun came up. The room he found that day was on the far side of town. When he opened the door, the old man was inside, hands out over nothing. "You forgot to tell me where we were going," the old man said without any particular meaning in it. "I found it anyway." The merchant stood in the doorway a long time. Then he came in and put down his bundle because he was tired, and there was nowhere else to go. By the end of the second winter, it was 1 room, 1 brazier, a pot, 2 bowls because at some point he had started setting out 2, barley mostly, pickled radish, once in a while something better, and then nothing better for a long while after. He had stopped counting anything because there was nothing left that took long enough to count. They ate facing each other across the brazier, and the old man ate very slowly. He held the bowl in both hands. He blew on it. He made a small sound at the first mouthful every single time, as if it had surprised him. The merchant found this unreasonably annoying for about a year. Then, at some point he could not identify, he found that he was waiting for it. One night the old man asked him what his mother had been like. Nobody had ever asked him that. Not once in his whole life, in that town where everyone knew exactly how much he was worth. He was quiet for so long that the fire went down. Then he told him. And then he told him some other things, and the winter was long, and there was nothing else to do with the hours. The nights went like that. They argued about whether it was going to snow. The old man was always wrong and never admitted it. He talked about the merchant as a young man walking into that town with nothing, and he talked about it as though he had been there, and the merchant stopped asking how he knew. Some nights neither of them said anything at all, and that was all right too, which was a thing the merchant had not known before. One evening, looking at the two bowls and the small fire, he said it. "You took everything I had." The old man thought about it seriously, the way he thought about the weather. "Did I?" he said. Then he picked up his bowl again. "You laugh more than you used to." The merchant opened his mouth to answer that, and found he could not. He sat with it. Outside it had begun to snow, which the old man had said it would not. He went back over the shop and the storehouse and the house with the rooms he never used, looking for the part of it he actually missed. He was still looking when the fire went out. He woke early. The room was cold in the particular way a room is cold when a fire has been out for hours. The corner by the brazier was empty, not tidied, not left behind. Simply empty, the way the corner of a small room is empty when it has never had anything in it. He said the old man's name and then remembered he had never known it. Nothing came back. That was the first thing he checked, and he was not proud of checking. The pot was the same pot. The two bowls were the same two bowls. There was no shop, no storehouse, no house. Whatever had gone out of his life over those years stayed gone. He sat down on the floor by the cold brazier and looked at the empty place across from it for most of the morning. In the afternoon, he went out with what food he had because sitting there was not helping. There was a child near the corner where the rice sellers were, thin, watching people's hands. The old merchant would have walked past. He knew that about himself precisely without any softening. He crouched down and gave the child what he was carrying, and he did not say anything wise while he did it. And then he stood up and went home with nothing. It went slowly after that. A neighbor returned a bowl and stayed to talk. Someone's father needed help with figures and remembered he had been good with figures. In time, there was a small shop again, much smaller than before, and it never made him rich, and he never once got the storehouse back. But there were always people standing in front of it. There were always people there in the evenings, and he learned their children's names, and he was there among them until he was very old. In Japan, a god is not always something kind. It is something larger than you. Thunder is a god. Fire is a god. So is poverty, which arrives without being invited and does not care at all what you deserve. There were houses that never tried to drive this one out. They gave him a corner. They set out a little food for him at the New Year. on the idea that a guest treated well might be gentle with you. It sounds like giving up. Perhaps it was. Or perhaps they had noticed something about the people who fought hardest to keep him outside. I keep going back to the night he said the god had taken everything from him. Because I'm not sure that it had. I think it's possible he lost almost nothing he actually owned. And I can't decide whether that is the cruelest thing in this story or the kindest one. I've been sitting with it for a while now, and it keeps changing on me. I wonder which one it sounded like to you. Good night.